San Diego's America's finest city. Good morning. We are looking forward to the weekend, and I am looking forward to hearing from a nominee for president of the Republican Party, the new Republican Party, and that is the one and only Herman Cain. Herman, how are you, sir?
Mike, I'm doing great. It's good to talk to you.
And to you as well. Thank you for your time. Now, this is going to be a moment. This is going to be a moment for a lot of people across San Diego where this may be the first time they hear about Herman Cain, and I'm excited about that. So give us a quick background. What have you done in the past that will make you a good president of the United States?
Well, for people who want to know more about me, go to HermanCain.com, HermanCain.com. The way you remember it is Cain like in the Bible, but I didn't kill anybody. But my background
a good start.
Has been in business. I spent 40 years in business. I rose to the level of vice president at the Pillsbury Company. I also climbed the corporate ladder at the Burger King Corporation to become an executive. I also headed up Godfather's Pizza as president and CEO. And I ran the National Restaurant Association as its president and CEO. So I've had a 40-year business career. And what that says is I've had a career where I have solved problems. I'm a problem solver, not a politician. And that's what people will see when they take a look at my background and my history. When I took over Godfathers, we were looking bankruptcy right squarely between the eyes. And we didn't go bankrupt. We were able to save the country. Why? Because of my problem-solving approach, Mike.
Give us one example of what you did, like specifically, and how that can, with Godfathers, and how that can be applied to running for president or being president.
Absolutely. When I took over Godfathers, they were working on the wrong problem. The United States is working on the wrong problem. At Godfathers, they were trying to do too much with too little, too fast. And as a result, they didn't have focus. And secondly, they didn't have the right people on the team in order to get the job done. Well, we face that same situation with this country. The United States of America is already broke. We are bankrupt, but we have people in Washington, D.C. that are in denial. So we've got to make some tough choices, some tough cuts, get the right team in place, which is what I would bring to that particular office. And as a result, if you get the right people working on the right problems, you're going to put together some plans that you'll be able to execute that will get us back on the right track.
I like it. And it's about time we have skill sets of an executive and not of a legislator, which is what we've had for too long. Let's talk about some of that business friendliness. We just talked about the corporate income tax. And tell us about general business friendliness in America.
It's bad. This is one of the reasons we've lost so many jobs in this country. When you have a top corporate tax rate that is the second highest in the world, and we are the only country in the developed nations that has not lowered its top corporate tax rate in the last 15 years, there's no wonder that we have a business unfriendly environment. We tax profits made by U.S. companies if they bring that money back home. When this was done back in 2003, George Bush was able to get the tax on repatriated profits, as they're called, down to 5.25%, and nearly $350 billion came back into this economy. Today, it's estimated that if we were to lower that that tax on repatriated profits, we could bring almost $1 trillion back into this economy. So the United States has put itself in the undesirable position of being one of the most unfriendliest business environments because of its tax structure.
So what do you lower it to?
I would lower the top corporate rate to 25%. It's currently 35%. I would also take the tax on repatriated profits all the way down to zero. Why should we punish money that's going to come back into this economy? It makes no sense. You see, when the Democrats have always objected to that, because they thought that by keeping the tax rate up there, it was going to cause U.S. businesses to keep the business here in the United States. It didn't. All it does is it forces U.S. businesses to make a business decision and leave those profits overseas. So take it to zero. So businesses will be free to build factories and plants and open up operations here. And then one other thing, Mike, that I would do is lower the capital gains tax rate to zero, because that would help to generate much-needed cash and equity for small businesses, which right now, as you know, generates most of the new jobs. But right now they're having a problem getting equity, and that's where they get it from. They get it from the cash generated by people who are able to generate gains on capital gains.
Love it. We're talking with Herman Cain. He's running for president as a Republican. Let's talk about why we're broke. You mentioned that a second ago. It's clearly our entitlements. So give us some real reform that you would propose for entitlements. Real reform.
Let's start with Social Security. I would utilize personal retirement accounts. I didn't say privatize. This is how the liberals demagogue the issue. Personal retirement accounts where you would provide an option for younger workers to allow half of their FICA tax or their payroll tax to go into an account with their name on it. This approach was used in Chile 30 years ago, and they are now one of the most retirement solvent countries in the world. We can do the same thing. Now, some people will say that George Bush tried it and he didn't succeed. Well, that's true, because I don't believe, with all due respect, he did a good job of basically selling it to the American people, and the liberals demagogued it by calling it privatization. We have to restructure Social Security, and it can be done. It has been done. That model would work. Representative Paul Ryan of Wisconsin has also put a similar idea on the table. It will work. We just simply have to educate the American people. Now, let's talk about Medicaid. I would block grant Medicaid as an example because of the spiraling costs. The liberals have intentionally made it easier for people to qualify for Medicaid, and I think that if we block grant Medicaid as an example and let the states make the decision about how they want to distribute those funds, the states will be able to better control the out of control costs.
Yeah, I want to ask you, block a grant. The first time I ever heard of that was yesterday. We were talking with, I think, someone from Cato. Explain to us real quick what a block grant means.
A block grant is that right now the federal government is taxing everybody, and then they are doling it back out to the states for these various programs with unfunded mandates. A block grant simply means that instead of the government trying to micromanage all of the rules for how you qualify for Medicaid, you basically say, here's the amount of money that you have gotten over the last 3 years. Here's the average. We're going to basically allow you to use this money for Medicaid purposes. End of discussion. In other words, not a long list of rules and regulations, but a guideline that says use it to help people that fall into these categories, and then let the states then figure out how they're going to best use that money. That's what a block grant is.
Nice. Tell us about free trade, your thoughts on free trade and how we move forward in the future with any free trade agreements. What do you think?
I believe that free trade is a good thing because we are in a global economy, whether we like it or not, but I believe that it should be fair trade. Some of our agreements are not necessarily fair in terms of what's in it for the United States of America, and I would review all of those and make sure that they represent fairness as well as free trade. We can't deny that we are in a global economy. We cannot put up walls of protectionism and think that that's going to help the U.S. economy. Every time we try to put up protectionist walls, it makes matters worse, just like I mentioned earlier as it related to taxes on repatriated profits.
Nice. Let's go to your number one priority, or number one job as President of the United States, and that is Commander-in-Chief. Your thoughts on what's going on in Libya right now?
What's going on in Libya is a very frightening situation. What it says is the world is not safer. The world is more dangerous. I would make sure that our ability to be able to get out in front of those situations rather than reacting to those situations is something that the Commander-in-Chief should do. In other words, for every nation on the planet, friend or foe, I would make sure that we have done a proper strategic assessment of what we would do if certain things happen. I don't know if this administration anticipated what's going on in the Middle East. It's frightening if they did not. It's more frightening that if they did, they have been in a responsive mode rather than being in a proactive mode. So the key to these kinds of situations in the future, Mike, is to make sure that we have a strategy for every country that we deal with, friend or foe, such that we don't react to what's going on. We would be able to proactively participate in what's going on in order to get the desired outcome that's in the best interest of the United States of America.
What do you think the proper use of the United States military is? Do you lean more towards a world police type thing, building democracy, or what's the Herman Cain doctrine, if you will?
That's a great question. Let's first say what we should not be. We should not be a policeman for the world. We don't have the resources to be policemen for the world, nor is that our role. our role is to support our friends and as well as be prepared to help our friends in the event that they are attacked by our enemies, by our mutual enemies. Let me give you an example. Israel has been, is, and will continue to be a longtime friend and ally of the United States of America. I would make it very clear, if anyone were to attack Israel unprovoked, they have also declared an attack on the United States of America, and we will be prepared to stand by our friend Israel in such a situation. They are the only friend we have in that part of the world for good reason, because they have a democracy, because they complement our military when we are in that part of the world. That's our strongest ally, and I think we should make that relationship even stronger.
All right, Herman, tell us about the black vote in America. Look, what the heck is going on? Why does Barack Obama just flat out get 90-something% of the black vote?
Well, because when they do the exit polls, many black people are intimidated when they ask the question with somebody standing there with a clipboard, who did you vote for? And if you are voting in a black precinct and you've got somebody standing there with a clipboard, a lot of people, and they have told me this, are intimidated, and they're not going to say that they didn't vote for Barack Obama. Sure. I don't believe that he got over 90%. I think maybe he got 90% of the vote, Mike, but here's the good news. I do not believe that he is going to get that kind of a margin with the black vote the next time around, because a lot of people are opening their eyes and they're looking below the rhetoric, and they are seeing that we have some serious issues with a lack of leadership. Based upon my anecdotal feedback, which I get from my radio show when I was on the air, also from emails that I get from people who respond to my weekly commentary that they can also find at hermancain.com, I feel that anecdotally that at best he might get 60% of the vote the next time around, because, believe it or not, a lot of people are waking up, black and white, to the lack of leadership that we have right now in the White House.
No doubt about that. We got about 30 seconds left, Herman. I'm going to ask this to every presidential nominee, presidential contender. Who's your favorite founding father and why? And what do you take their lessons with you?
My favorite founding father would be Thomas Jefferson, because he said when people have the right information, they will make the right decisions. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with my bid to gain the Republican nomination. Give people the right information.
Herman, wish you the best of luck. I'm really glad you're running and you're in this discussion. Let us know if you need anything as you're moving forward. What's your website? People can learn more.
HermanCain.com, HermanCain.com.
Awesome.
Be
Herman,
there.
Best of luck. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you so much, sir. 1-800-760-KFMB, 1-800-760-5362. What did you think of Herman Cain there? Is it someone you want to learn more about? Something you didn't like? Something you loved? Are you a Herman Cain supporter now?